The theater was already buzzing long before the lights dimmed. America's Got Talent Champions had brought together the most unforgettable performers from around the world, and the audience knew that anything could happen on this stage. People whispered to each other, guessing who might steal the night, who might shock the judges, who might walk away as the one everyone would talk about the next morning. But no one, not a single person in that room, was prepared for what was about to happen when a quiet man from the Philippines walked onto the stage. Marcelito Pomoy didn't enter with fireworks or dramatic gestures. He walked slowly, respectfully, his posture calm, almost shy. He wore a simple outfit, nothing flashy, nothing designed to scream for attention. At first glance, he looked like an ordinary contestant among many extraordinary ones. The crowd applauded politely, but there was no roar yet, no standing ovation. Cowell leaned back in his chair, arms crossed, his face carrying that familiar expression of cautious curiosity. He had seen thousands of singers in his career. Very few could surprise him anymore. Marcelito stood at the center of the stage as the lights softened around him. His eyes scanned the audience for a brief moment, then settled forward. You could sense the nerves, but also something deeper, something steady inside him. This wasn't just another performance. For Marcelito, this moment carried the weight of an entire life. As the music began, the room grew quiet. The first notes floated through the air, gentle and controlled. Marcelito opened his mouth and began to sing in a deep, rich male voice. It was smooth, emotional, and technically strong. The audience nodded along, impressed but still reserved. Simon raised an eyebrow slightly, acknowledging the quality but not yet amazed. To him, it was good, but not shocking. Not yet, Marcelito continued, his voice filling the theater with warmth and sincerity. You could hear years of practice, years of pain, years of dreaming in every note. He sang with a kind of honesty that pulled people in, the kind that makes you stop thinking and simply listen. The judges watched closely. Heidi smiled. Howie leaned forward. Simon remained still, waiting. Then, without warning, something changed. As the music shifted, Marcelito lifted his head slightly, took a breath, and when he sang again, the sound that came out of him was no longer the same voice. It was higher, softer, unmistakably female. The audience froze for a split second, as if their brains needed time to catch up with what their ears were hearing. Eyes widened, mouths opened, a wave of disbelief swept through the theater. Gasps echoed across the room. People looked at each other, pointing back at the stage, silently asking, did that just happen? Simon's posture changed instantly, his arms uncrossed. He leaned forward, eyes locked on Marcelito, his face now showing genuine surprise. Marcelito wasn't just switching notes. He was switching identities. One moment, a powerful male singer. The next, a soaring female voice, clear and emotional, as if another person had stepped onto the stage. But there was only one man standing there, calmly holding the microphone, controlling both voices with astonishing precision. The audience erupted into applause, but Marcelito wasn't finished. He moved seamlessly between the two voices, male and female, blending them into a duet that seemed impossible. It felt like watching two souls sing through one body. The harmony was perfect. The timing was flawless. The emotion was overwhelming. Cowell shook his head slowly, a smile creeping onto his face. This was not something he had expected. This was not something he had seen before. In all his years on talent shows across the world, this was rare. As Marcelito continued, the performance grew even more powerful. The song told a story of love, longing, and unity, and Marcelito embodied all of it. When he sang the male part, his voice was strong, grounded, protective. When he sang the female part, it was tender, vulnerable, and soaring. The contrast sent chills through the room. Some audience members were already on their feet. Others wiped tears from their eyes. This wasn't just a trick or a gimmick. It was art. It was raw talent shaped by struggle and dedication. Behind that incredible voice was a story few people in the room fully knew. Marcelito had not grown up with comfort or privilege. He was raised in extreme poverty in the Philippines. As a child, he lived on the streets, sleeping wherever he could, often going hungry. Music became his escape, his hope, his way of surviving a world that had given him very little. He learned to sing by listening, by mimicking, by practicing wherever he could. When he discovered he could sing in both male and female voices, he didn't see it as something strange. He saw it as a gift, something that made him different in a world where being different often felt like a curse. He held onto that gift, protecting it, polishing it, turning it into something beautiful. Back on the AGT Champions stage, Marcelito reached the climax of the song. The music swelled, and he delivered the final notes with breathtaking control. His female voice soared high into the air, then gently resolved back into his male voice for the closing line. The last note hung in silence for a moment, as if the room itself needed time to breathe. Then the theater exploded. The audience jumped to their feet, cheering, clapping, shouting his name. The applause was thunderous, overwhelming. Marcelito stood still, his eyes shining, his chest rising and falling as he took in the reaction. He bowed his head slightly, humbled by the love pouring toward him. The judges stood as well. Heidi clapped enthusiastically, her face full of amazement. Howie laughed in disbelief, pointing at Marcelito as if to say, "How is this even possible?" Simon Cowell stood up too, something he did not do lightly. His applause was strong, sincere. When the noise finally settled enough for the judges to speak, Simon leaned toward his microphone. He paused for a moment, clearly choosing his words carefully. Then he spoke with a tone that carried real respect. He said that he had seen a lot of singers over the years, but what Marcelito had just done was truly unique. He admitted that he had not expected to be surprised, but Marcelito had completely blown him away. He called the performance unforgettable and said that it was the kind of act people would talk about for a very long time. For Marcelito, hearing those words from Simon Cowell was almost unreal. This was the man whose opinion could make or break careers, the man known for being brutally honest. And now, that same man was praising him in front of America and the world. Marcelito thanked the judges, his voice trembling slightly as he spoke. He spoke about his family, about how far he had come, about how grateful he was for the opportunity to stand on that stage. His humility only made people love him more. As the camera pulled back and the show moved on, one thing was clear. This performance had changed something. It wasn't just another audition. It wasn't just another good singer. It was a moment that reminded everyone why talent shows mattered in the first place. They weren't just about competition. They were about discovering voices that could move hearts across cultures and borders. In the days that followed, clips of Marcelito's performance spread rapidly online. Millions of people watched, shared, and reacted. Comments poured in from all over the world. People wrote about getting goosebumps, about crying, about being inspired by his journey. Many said they had never seen or heard anything like it before. For Filipino viewers, the moment carried special pride. Marcelito wasn't just representing himself. He was representing his country, showing the world the depth of talent that existed beyond the usual spotlight. He became a symbol of hope, proof that no matter where you come from, your voice can still reach the biggest stages in the world. Simon Cowell later spoke again about Marcelito in interviews, calling him one of the most memorable acts to ever appear on the show. Coming from someone known for high standards, that praise meant everything. But perhaps the most powerful part of Marcelito Pomoy's story isn't just the shock factor of his voice. It's the reminder that talent often grows in the hardest conditions. That beauty can come from struggle. That sometimes, the quietest person walking onto a stage carries the loudest story inside them. On that night, America didn't just hear a singer. It heard resilience. It heard dreams refusing to die. It heard two voices singing as one, telling a story that crossed language, culture, and expectation. And as the final applause faded and the lights dimmed, one truth remained clear in the hearts of everyone who watched. Marcelito Pomoy had not only shocked America, he had touched it.